Welcome to Guests and Gusto, SCAD's virtual series of conversations and digital content with the creators and innovators remaking culture. I'm Duke Greenhill, and I'm happy to introduce Thomas. Thomas is a graphic designer and art director. He is the co-founder of Studio Mut, great name, by the way, one of the most influential graphic design studios in Italy. Thomas's design work includes identity, print, editorial, and web design for clients spanning art, culture, and commerce. In addition to running his company, he is a member of Alliance Graphique Internationale. Make sure to follow him at Studio Mut on Instagram. And as always, we will be doing a Guest and Gusto poll. The poll today, what would you like to hear from Thomas most? Graphic design inspiration, his graphic design inspiration, how to stay creative during quarantine, what makes great design, is a big question right there, and professional tip or trick. After the conversation, we will have a brief moment and we'll ask him the poll winning question. But until that time, you ready to rock and roll, Thomas?
Of course I am. I clicked the button.
That's right. That's right. You're why we're here. The number one thing I hear from parents is, my child is studying graphic design and I have no idea what that means. I feel like I need to understand what my child is so passionate about. I feel like we can't have this conversation without a definition of graphic design. How do you define it?
Well, it's really hard to do that. But I think, starting, it's really, I think it's more apt and more easy to start with how I came into this thing. Because I was in the same exact position as your students, and I had to explain it to my parents too, in a way, in the beginning, right? So when I met this guy who basically he was a professor of design, and it was by accident in a way. Like I was searching for universities and stuff like that, and I didn't know what to do, but I was a creative kind of kid, and I drew a lot, and I drew logos. I don't know why, but I did.
How young were you drawing logos?
I was about 12 years old, I think.
Do you always
even younger?
Be a creative of some kind?
Yes, I think that's basically that was clear to me from the beginning. And so this professor here from a university here in Italy just said, graphic design is all around us, basically. So if you want to go to the toilet, you just you have to look at the signs, and then on the door of the toilet there's this symbol, and it just tells you that it is the toilet. And then when you go to the supermarket, you decide which soft drink you want to have. If you don't know them already, by just the color and type on them, and so graphic design is all around us, And once you understand that, once you see that, you just keep looking at things, and you keep seeing that graphic design is one of the most important parts of our world, basically, of our society.
The way
everything is basically, everything has some writing on it and some sign on it, or is colored in a way, and so that's just, for me, that was the most exciting discovery.
We had a prospective student come through whose father is an experienced designer, and he, just to give me a hard time, asked me to define graphic design, and I turned it back on him, and he said, my definition is graphic design is everything. And I thought, it's a pretty good definition, everything.
Yeah, it's a good one.
You and a buddy of yours, after working together in Berlin, founded Studio Mut 2014. I founded an agency, and so I recognize the level of masochism that one must have to start and run their own company, and level of reward that you get from doing so. What made you two want to do that?
I don't know if it was that. Like I have no negative feelings like thinking about it, like starting it. it was just the right moment. We worked in Berlin. We studied design. Me and Martin Kerschbaumer, who I founded the studio with, we studied design, which means it was multidisciplinary. I don't know how to say this word, but you see, English is not my first language. Excuse my English, but it's I speak German as a first language, and then Italian as a second, and then a distant third is English. So we studied design, which means we studied product design and communication design, which it was called by the time. And so we didn't really study graphic design. And I see that now with how the projects turn out to be, and how flexible in a way we are at the moment in just tackling pretty much everything from a different viewpoint, thinking a little bit out of the box, and not just thinking about typefaces and colors and composition and graphic design stuff, but more like the big picture thing. But the question was about the starting the studio. Damn it, I'm rambling. Sorry, Duke.
No, you're good.
So when we came back to our little hometown of Bolzano, just in northern Italy, in the very north, it's like Heidi land. Like there are mountains, and we're in the snow. There are not a lot of people. Very small medieval towns here. And so we came back from the big city, Berlin and London before that, and Lisbon for Martin. And so we came back, and we immediately had some projects to do. So a small skate shop just wanted to have some stickers, right? So that's the dream, right? That's the dream. First perfect job. And then at university, where we studied before that, they wanted to have a book designed, and so we did that. And so basically, we were starting out just designing stuff, and what do you know? Half a year later, we had so many projects that we had to found a studio, because you have to write invoices, and you have to pay the cleaning lady to make order in your studio, and you have to pay the rent. And so we had to found a studio. So there was no huge plan.
Were there ever lean moments?
Necessity. Pardon?
Were there lean moments? Were there ever moments where you weren't sure? And did you all set out with the intention to grow it, or were you just kind of playing around and it worked out?
We were just playing around. It was like, I think, it's just like a band coming together, and then different people have different specialities of what they do best, and then it just developed from there. But we never grew big, right? We are just 4 people at the moment. We're a maximum of 5 people. We try to keep it as small and lean as possible, because we want to design everything. We want to basically we want to try to touch everything before it leaves the studio.
Well, it's the perfect segue, Thomas, into looking at some work, if that's all right.
Yes, let's do it. Sorry, people. We're talking about stuff, and never trust a designer who doesn't show his work. That's a good tip for every student out there, I think.
Yeah, write that down. Notepad moment.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Agents of social change piece. Talk to us about it.
So yeah, what you're seeing is we did the identity of a biennial of the arts in Innsbruck. This is in Austria. So the client came to us and they said, we're doing this every 2 years. We're doing this 14 days of art exhibitions and happenings and performances. And we want to show the world that we're here and that we're big and that we're important. And so we came up with this idea that they're a little bit punk. in a way. Like they're loud and they're proud of what they do. And the first year they came to us and said the most important, the three most important artists are these three women, and we want to make photographs, portraits of them. And we said, yes, let's do that. And we briefed the photographers, and they came back with these photographs that you see. Those are three most important artists of those.
So when you started, interrupting Thomas, when you briefed the photographers, etc., did you have a concept at that point? What was sort of your process? What did you brief the photographers with?
Well, not really. We thought that it had to do something, like we knew that we wanted to have people there. That was the idea, the first idea. We knew that it had to be personal. And then we got the manifesto, let's say, by the curators. And the curators told us, they had this long text, and then at a certain point we thought, well, the most interesting thing is that those artists, those female artists, are agents of social change. And back in, when was that? somewhere there has to be 2018. That was like a super hot topic, and we said to the curators, I think you have to give this biennial a title, which is Agents of Social Change. And then that came together with the photos arriving from the photographer. And we said, why don't we write into the faces? That's a very brutal gesture in a way, but also
where'd that notion come from? I mean, just organically someone shouted out, let's write on their faces, it'll be brutal?
It came from experimentation, but also we had in the process we tried out a lot of type things, and I think at a certain point we were sure that it had to be, like, the aesthetic had to be very in your face. Nice. I turned it around. So it had to be very, very strong, and then it is about experimentation and about luck of finding the right thing, in a way, the right expression. Also interesting for this project that on the left there is this small thing that says Agents of Social Change, and that is actually the entrance ticket, basically, for every attendee. So they got this, and they had to write their name onto this red thing. So to basically become agents of social change themselves. So that was the thing. But the interesting part of this project is basically that you find the idea of this project is that you find the right tone of voice for an event. And it turned out to be a very, very big success, because it shifted the tone so much from the previous iteration of the event. That was very, very toned down, and that was so, in a way, almost aggressive.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned experimentation. Talk to us about that. What role does experimentation play in your process?
We always have, as designers, as creative people, I think you always have a first idea, and it almost never works out the way that you want it, like when you then really do it. I think it's interesting to try to visualize, really get into the programs, or drawing it, or making real design work for the first idea, and then to find out that it does not work. Like, it works in your head, but it does not work on the screen or on paper. And that's the first thing that you have to do. Like, you have to find out that your idea is not working. And then from there, you chisel away, and basically for every project that we do, we have about 10 or 20 or 30 different ideas or approaches that we're trying out. But those are quick things, those are quick, fast things that we try out.
Right.
And this is just for us. We're never showing this to anyone, not to the client, to nobody. I have to say as well that we are always showing just one proposal to every client. So if somebody asks us to design something, we always tell them, you have to, be sure that you're okay with that we are thinking about this like you have a problem, communication problem, and we are going to present you a communication idea, like a solution. And this is one thing, and we're going to present you this one thing. And when you're not happy with it, which does happen, like in 2 or 3% of the cases, we're really, really lucky like that. But it happens, And when that happens, we just trash everything and we develop a new idea for the thing, and not a variation, because we don't believe in variations. We believe in variations when we're working on the idea, but not of variations of ideas, like splitting up ideas.
So you try your first idea, and
you fail.
Then of most of your work is a failure, right? I mean, we talk about that often at SCAD, this notion that you got to embrace failure, you got to experiment, you got to play. And failure is sometimes part and parcel of that, a benign kind of failure.
Yeah.
And that's the genesis of your
I think, there are a few things here. I think, failure is such a big word. This is just, not working out, basically. It's just not a failure. I'm not of the school of people who think that you learn from mistakes. I don't think that. I think you learn from success. So try to, as much as you can. Well, everybody is doing that, of course, but try to work on, being successful with the first thing that you do.
I like framing it that way. It's the first attempt, whether it works or not, is a success, just not the success that you inevitably pitch to the client when they don't see.
And I read an interview with Paul Rand, one of our biggest idols, and he basically says the same thing. He says, I've been working for 30 years, and I'm not the worst designer around. He said about himself. And I've been working for 30 years, but the first idea is never the real thing.
Amen. Your .com, I want to talk a little bit about your ethos, your design philosophy, if you have one. Your .com says that you specialize in identity, print, editorial, and web design for clients spanning art, culture, and commerce. Do you have a favorite kind of work? A favorite industry vertical, a favorite medium?
Not really. I really bet on, like, if there are texts about me, or even if I write them myself, they basically just say whatever I just did, not what I will do, or what we will do as a Studio Mut. And I'm really, really looking forward to basically doing all sorts of different things. I'm not focusing at all in what we do. We try to, just keep it interesting.
Mm-hmm. And the
for
variety
ourselves.
What was that?
For ourselves, basically.
That's right. So I thought it was interesting that the .com also translates your company bio into English, Dutch, and Italian. Do you find if you can recognize any difference sort of between the business of graphic design in Europe and in the States?
Let me just correct you. It's English, Italian, and German. but
Sure.
that does not change anything in your question. It's really hard to generalize here, but there's just so much great stuff going on everywhere at the moment. When I'm getting asked, if I don't know if the internet, if Instagram, if the platforms are good or bad for design, are they making everything look the same, or have different, countries have different styles, or do they lose it, or is the industry different? I actually don't know. I think there are some things that are different in different countries. We worked for a big French luxury brand, and they kept saying, make it more, what was the thing? More elegant. Could you make it a little bit more elegant? And we just did not know what that meant, because we are not French, and we don't know what the French elegance is. We know what the Italian elegance is. And I think that there is, a part of what could be an answer. It's the small things, but in general, I think it's pretty much the same. I really love that what I see now is that there are fantastic American agencies and studios that are working with big clients in Silicon Valley, for example. For Dropbox, fantastic branding there. For other startups, really love that they are really going back to graphic design. That there is this digital thing that you Americans are really strong at. You're much more advanced in that, I think. But that graphic design, really, like the looking at details and typefaces and raster systems and color systems and order and all these fantastic things that's in a way, I think that is having a real heyday at the moment in the States as well. So I really enjoy seeing that.
Very cool. And you give me the perfect segues, man. Speaking of the little things, the sort of quintessential graphic design decisions, you and I had a conversation yesterday about the poster. And is the poster sort of the perfect graphic design canvas, the perfect tabula rasa? And I hope everyone can see this because it's beautiful work. But here are many of yours. Talk to us about it.
Well, so the poster is such an interesting medium for us. We sometimes design, when we have to design a brand or a big website or I don't know what, we design a poster, sometimes, just to understand what the feeling is of that brand or of that website. And we drop everything in, and then you have the different things in there, and from that you can basically create everything. So I think the poster is still one of the most important, that for us, one of the most important things as a tool as well, just to in the process. But also I think it is the king's like the biggest the highest discipline, like the Champions League, the Super Bowl of. Do you see? I'm mixing in the references. So the Super Bowl of graphic design is just in the poster space. And now what's happening now is that those posters are starting to move, and so they are the whole thing, the whole idea with, is it print, is it web, is it something in between? It's just not, it doesn't matter. It's just important. Like the moving poster is such an interesting new medium as well. We really love to work on that. Like it's really,
let's
really
look at one of yours. Now that you say it, let's do that. You've got, let's see.
Yeah. So this is Trieste Estate. This is a project. This is a summer festival in the beautiful city of Trieste in Italy, and it's at maritime city. So this is here. This is 250 different cultural events, from theater to cinema to concerts, and we're designing the whole communication and the posters for this event for the sixth year, and we always try to reinvent the same kind of feeling. And the feeling is that you are at the seaside and you see the sun basically shining. So that is the feeling that we want to transport there. And what you saw is that because 2020 is the year of the digital event, I guess, you see that they made everything online this year, unfortunately, or also fortunately. And so this reinforces that notion of that everything is moving and everything is streaming, and everything is digital. So the colors are super pop, and everything is moving, and there are bubbles, text messages being sent around, and streams being uploaded, and So
when you designed these, Thomas, did you, from the get-go, have in mind what would be in motion, or did you design a static poster and then decide, okay, these are the pieces that will move?
We actually knew that they would move, but I have to tell you, every poster that I design, or every brand that I design, I always think about the movement as well.
What is it about it? I mean, why the movement? I think some people think about the logo as sort of the hallmark of the brand. What is it about for you?
Well, the movement is just, the movement can say so many things about what the brand is and what the personality of that brand is. So you just feel it much more, and the feeling is the most important thing in branding, is what is the feeling of that brand. And, is it fast? Is it slow? Is it smooth? Is it hard? Those are the questions that we always ask when we're designing a brand. And movement is fantastic to show that. And if you look at really, really almost all of graphic design history, there is a lot of movement in there, even if it's just printed. It looks like it's moving. It has kinetic energy.
Absolutely. It's working, not working. I hadn't heard of that platform before, but self-described, unapologetic, out of the box, and to the point. Unapologetic, out of the box, and to the point. Would you say those three values, for lack of a better word, are kind of your philosophy?
I forgot the three words the moment that you said them, but that was out of the box, which I really love. It's a really boring expression, I think, but it is one of the most important things, I think, that you have to be if you want to make interesting and clever graphic work or brands, or websites, or even if you're in illustration, if you are in film and animation. I don't know, the thing that to first of all think, what is the box and how can I get out of the box? How can I basically escape from the limitations that I have? I think that should always be your first question when you start a project.
Do you have a technique, a go-to sort of a way to help you do that?
Well, when a client comes to us and they tell us they need something, they are very specific normally, and they have a budget allocated, and Excel spreadsheets made, and most of the time you have to in the team. Most of the time we just discuss if that is the project that they need, or if it is a completely different thing. And I would say most of the time the client does not know what they want. And if you're clever, and if you're nice, and if you're persuasive, and if you're positive, you can basically tell them if they want to have a website, but they need just a photo shooting, or if they want to do an article, but you say, invest the same money in writing something clever on Twitter, just do that. And most of the time they're up for it. So the box is basically what comes to your door if you have a studio, basically. So they say, here's a box. We want to put we want you to put nice stuff in there. And most of the times you say, this is the wrong box. You need to look at other things, or make it bigger, and sometimes even make it smaller. I know it's a crazy concept, but sometimes they just don't need a new brand. They're just doing something wrong with the brand that they have.
You mentioned sometimes smaller is the answer. Yesterday we talked about the beauty of simplicity, the necessity of simplicity. Talk to us a little bit about the role simple plays in your work.
The one thing that I realize about our process now is that it's really difficult to describe this, because you're always there doing it, and so it's in a way hard to understand what you're doing. But what I understood is that most of the times we try to find the one simple form or the one simple idea to solve basically a problem, to solve to solve the thing. And so when you find that form, and sometimes it's just you have to write it like this in a circle. You have to write it in a circle, because a circle, and then there are a lot of things that you can just that are logic about a circle. It doesn't end. It always goes round. There are certain things, and then you say you have to put it in a circle, and so basically you come to that conclusion after doing a lot of experimentation and talking a lot to the clients, to your coworkers. And then I realized that, so we have this one very simple thing that we found out, basically. So this is like a diamond. This is the diamond that you find. Like, this is at the end of a long time of, pressure from all sides, creative pressure from all sides. You have this diamond. And then basically you say, okay, how can I just drive this home? It's a circle. So everything has to be a circle. I'm making a book, it's a circle. I'm making the website, it's rotating. I'm making an app, and it's a circle that you can move around. And so we do that a lot of times. We just find one simple thing, and then we blow that up.
How do you know
that is what simplicity is for me? Like that's the most important thing at the moment for me.
How do you know when you found it, that one thing?
Oh, when you found it. That. You're like, I told your colleagues I'm not going to swear on this broadcast. So F yeah, you found it. Also, it's a good question. I think what is very important to me is to be in a studio with other people, just to realize at which point I found something. If I'm not, sometimes you say F yeah, I found it, but some other times you have to show other people stuff. And for me, this is about like getting feedback is such a great thing for me. Like I really love to get feedback from everyone. Just, sometimes the mailman comes in, the UPS guy comes in, and I was like, want to show him something. Hey, what do you think about this? Like, I just want to have feedback from people. And then in the moment that I get feedback from them, I know if I can use that feedback or if I'm rejecting it. I can reject feedback. My wife will tell you. I sometimes show her something and she's going like, yeah, I don't like the color red. And I'm going, oh, in that moment, I know that it is perfect, that the red is the thing. So, getting feedback is very, very important in that process to find out when is it done, when is it, when is it good? When is it good enough is the most important question that you have when you're creative, and then when you have a design studio. If you lead a design studio, you have to know when it's good enough. It's very important, because after that you're burning money.
That's right.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm always for trying out stuff, but at a certain moment, at a certain point, you have to say, it's good. Let's get this out.
Speaking of feedback, what advice would you give students on taking feedback, giving feedback? Is there an approach you use to give it?
I am not a fan of the sandwich method. Yeah. How is it called? The
love sandwich. I loathe the love sandwich.
Yeah, it is not a thing that we're doing in. I think that's a big difference in Europe. Like you will get criticized really, really hard, really, really hard for everything. Basically, we're used to it. Also, get a partner who is very critical of your work. It's very, very, very useful. Get used to it. Yeah, getting feedback. I really enjoy getting feedback. I always did. I don't know why. People really, really have a hard time getting feedback, and they're also always projecting on themselves. I think the most important thing is to always think about the project and not about the people. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about a project, and you're never saying, you did this because something. But it is about the project that you're working on. And also arguing is not professional. If you have a design studio, or if you work in a team, if you argue, you did something wrong. Yeah.
Cool.
More of that? I don't know. Feedback. I don't know. Yeah, it's.
Well, you're kind of talking about getting ego out of the situation, which only helps. Removing
Yes, exactly. And also trust. Trust is very important. Sometimes in the studio environment with me and Martin, I just have the trust. If Martin says he's going to do it like that, and I'm not completely convinced, I just sometimes have to tell myself, trust the guy. He's good. Also, it's not that hard to give people feedback if they're really good. So that's that's a good thing for if you have a small studio and have really, really good people in there. You might, you're not in the situation a lot of times to give bad feedback, to give rough feedback, because they're really good and they do what they do.
So in Italy, if the room is quiet during feedback, you've done something wrong.
I wouldn't say that. No, no. They will just say that it's not good.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
No, they say that, and in Germany they're even less diplomatic about things.
Talk to us a little bit about, I mean, you're clearly a jovial guy. Talk to us about work-life balance. How do you manage that?
I had a sort of bad moment when I worked in Berlin. I think it was in the second year that I worked at this fantastic studio there, and I really wanted to learn everything. I wanted to just sponge it up, everything that they made there, and that the project that they gave me, and it turned a little sour, like it turned a little dark on me for some time, and I at a certain moment it felt like it was getting too much for me. It was just too much pressure. And so 2 or 3 weeks into that feeling, I told my bosses that I wasn't feeling so well, and I didn't have the positivity that I needed to work, because I need that. Like when I go to the studio, I have I say, "Oh, hey, how are you? Whoop whoop," and I need that in order to work basically. And so I wasn't feeling that well, and they said that's not a problem. That's that happens, and you should just take a month off. So basically, I took a month off and went back to Italy, went back to my parents' house, had lasagna and red wine for a month, and then it kept feeling better. I think it felt very, very good. So long story short, no, I think I learned a really, really good lesson there, which is I don't want to have that feeling again. And so I made sure that at my studio, I had very clear rules about what work was and what life was. Like when it was over, not what work and what life was, what work was and when it was over. So now what we do is we work from 9 in the morning, 9 a.m. till about 6 p.m. And we do not work at night. Never did in 6 years. I think once or twice. And we do not work on weekends. And when the idea is that when I close the studio door, I don't want to think about the projects anymore.
Right.
And I just do not get fantastic ideas under the shower. It's just not a thing that I do. I go to work, I sit on a desk, I have coffee, I talk to people, I get calls, I sit there and I work. It's not, I'm not the traveling creative guy that's just, hey, I'm always a little bit creative and taking notes and stuff. No, when I work, I work. And that's just worked out pretty well for me. And when I dream about my projects, I know that something is off. I have to change something.
It means you're ruminating about them, or?
Yeah, I'm too, like, sometimes like I have a bad conscience about something, maybe I'm a little too late for a deadline, or there's a strange feeling. So I know that I have to change something. I have to call. I make some calls. I'm calling a client and saying, I'm not feeling so well about this thing. We have to. I don't know. Or I'm talking to somebody at the studio and say, we have to resolve this because it's not feeling good.
That's I'm gonna start paying attention.
Sounds strange, but it's working. Also, the notebook, keeping a notebook and stuff. And we're at the studio. We have our studio notebooks, and we have this little ritual that we write everything down in there, like a list of things to do. Right, it's like a normal to-do list. But the notebook always stays at the studio, so it's always there. and it will wait for you until the next day, right? So
like
when
that.
you go home, you don't have the notebook with you. You cannot take notes. You cannot make, plans. You're in Zen. You're in life mode. You're in, go outside and play mode.
I think I'm going to adopt that. I like that analogy, the symbolism of that. What's next for you? What do you think you've left undone? What's a sort of dragon that you're chasing?
I have no idea about that. Seriously, it's just everything that it's so exciting. Everything that happens is still so exciting. 5-6 years into the studio, we're the projects get bigger, the things get a little bit more complicated as well. It's budgets get bigger. You're still walking on a tightrope, but you're much more in the air now, like higher up in the air. But you trained your skills so well over the time that it's the same thing that you do. It's just the budget gets higher, basically. So that happens, and really, really nice calls are happening, like, clients, like cold calls, basically, from new clients. New projects are coming in. And so we're really, really just happy, and we have to be very, very, thankful that it's just going like it is. And I'm always joking that I want to do two things. One is to design a milk carton, like a milk packaging. Really want to do that, to have it in the fridge. When I open the fridge, I always think, why is this so ugly? Why are they so ugly? And I just want to design a beautiful one. So I want to do that. And then the second one is just hubris. We want to just do, the Olympic Games, right? We want to design the logo for the next Olympic Games. So that would be nice. So you can tell your parents basically what you do, right? What are you doing? Well, I designed that.
Milk cartons. I designed milk cartons in the Olympic Games.
Exactly.
What do you binge watch on TV? Do you watch TV?
Oh my God, I don't watch TV. I watch a lot of Netflix in bed with my wife, and she is very particular about what we can watch and what not.
What are you all watching right now?
Oh my God, all Scandinavian, not mystery, but what's the thing? Like crime.
Yeah.
Scandinavian crime. That's the thing. Yeah.
Those are good, man. The Scandinavians know what they're doing with that. The sort of dark, suspenseful, true crime.
Exactly.
Who's a hero of yours?
I don't know. I really love Soul Bass. Really loved Soul Bass. I don't know. Like, it just looks like it was such a cool character. And I heard about him that he was just such a nice guy as well. I'm really impressed with everyone who is really good at what they do, and who are just nice people. That's what I really, really enjoy. And I got to know a lot of my graphic design heroes over the last 2 years, and they're like, mostly, I think all of them are just very, very nice people to talk to and hang around. So.
That's wonderful. That's not always the case. I'm glad to hear it was for you. Do you have any question in the chat? Do you have any book recommendations for typography, design in general?
Yes, I actually have this, I think the book that you're giving away, I hope you are, like, you have this thing going on, right, with the question
For the poll, yeah.
Yeah, for the poll. So you're giving away, this is a coincidence, complete coincidence, but you told me yesterday that you're giving away the History of Graphic Design Volume 2
Yes,
by
Volume
Taschen.
2.
Yes. And this is hands down one of the best books about graphic design that I have ever seen. And I really, really, like, I have the book, so, but, you know, if you give me a second one, that's okay.
It'll really be Volume 2 then.
No, volume two is cool because volume 2 is basically going up to now. Every interesting movement from I think it starts at the 60s and it goes up to now. And the volume 1 is very, very interesting because it's the time before that. And you can steal a lot of things from the old one, from the volume 1. From the volume 1, it's not stealing. From volume 2, it is stealing. So don't do that.
It might be recognized too. Raphael in the Q&A asks, what would you suggest other fields of designers that want to get better at graphic design? What other fields might they study that support graphic design? For myself, he says he's studying industrial design.
And I don't really get the question. What are the support?
Are there sort of ancillary fields, not graphic design, but things near it that might make one a stronger graphic designer were they to study?
I don't know. I mean, I think graphic design is very big in a way. A lot of other fields are much more focused. One of the most interesting things that are happening at the moment are in coding. So just creating images with code, I think, is one of the most interesting things that I can think of at the moment. And then of course, there is always the classics, photography and typography, but I'm more interested in where those things meet than the insular things around them.
Cool. Diego asks, I have started several personal projects, but left them halfway through because I got uninspired or tired of them. What are some ways to prevent this?
There are no ways to prevent, no. I don't know. I'm really sorry. I have to tell you, I do not make personal projects at all. I never did. I only work on commission.
Wow.
And I found that very, very nice because there is pressure coming from the outside. And I think that might be the answer to the question, which is, how do I stay motivated? It is the client. The client wants something. So that is motivation for me.
That's interesting. Nick asks, please break down the circle. He's referring to when you were talking about one central big idea, it might be a circle. Yeah, that's what you want to break down the circle.
Just always break the, you should always break the circle. Come on.
Okay.
No, the idea is just, it was just a stupid example. Maybe it's just also my bad English that doesn't translate well into what I wanted to say. But I wanted to say that we always, try out to find the most simple solution for a complex problem. And then from that, we develop everything that comes out of that. So a circle means that, if you can solve something with one object, which is a circle, then you have to think about, if the brand is a circle, what are the things that I can do around that? So for example, you make a lot of, circles.
Right.
You make a lot of circles. You make a lot of things that are around.
Do you find that when you have such a simple, with a positive connotation idea, that you have to force yourself to sort of stick to it in an almost brutal kind of way? Or do you find that it's, almost easy, as if it were meant to be, for lack of a better word?
I think it is, it's always about relationships. So how related is what is, is your idea to what you have to do with it? And the closer, the better. So if it's completely close, sometimes it has to be a little more loose, away from your initial idea, but then circling around the main idea that you have. So for example, if the idea is to make something blue, sometimes it can be a little bit like of a blue violet tone, but it can never be orange.
Right. Morgan wants to know, when you are not working, what do you do in your free time?
Nothing.
It's free time.
I hang out. I'm eating McDonald's in bed with my wife.
Yo.
She's laughing in the next room. I heard her laughing in the next room.
She's laughing because it's true, I imagine, right?
It happened. It happened.
Let's see. Isis wants to know, for work-life balance, any pointers for us that in terms of working from home?
Oh yeah, that's a big one. I think that it's really, really hard to work from home. I'm really envious of everyone who can be productive, really, really productive from home. I cannot. I develop ideas while talking. You already understood that. I think everyone did, but I really develop ideas while talking and sketching and showing other people my ideas and and communicating those ideas and then getting feedback. So that is my process. And when I have to do that over Zoom, it gets really, really tedious for me. And when I'm alone, I'm just, I'm able to respond to emails, but, nothing cool was ever designed in an email program.
That's the truth. I'm trying to find the poll winner, but I don't see it anywhere. Lauren, let me know where the poll winner is. We'll do that question last. Jonathan wants to know, apart from the mailman and the UPS man, what do you do to achieve yeah status? In terms of the work, he means your joke about yeah, we found it.
I think there is something in graphic design that when you are designing, it feels like there is some sort of flow feeling. When you get into that, that is just a very, very good feeling, and you just do you design and redesign and mock over and then change stuff, and it gets into a flow state of mind. And I think that's very similar to what people have when they play instruments or when they when they dance, or so it's a very, very in a way very physical thing. In your brain just reacts to it. It has positive energy in there, and things can happen. And I always know that when I'm in that, like once you're in that, you have to come back to that place.
Yeah.
Is that an answer to that? It's not an answer to that question. The question was something completely different. But that's your answer right there. I'm really sorry for this answer.
You asked about the UPS man, you get flow. The winner of the poll, the question that won the poll, I'll give you one guess, Thomas. The question that won the poll.
I don't know. What's your inspiration? Is always the winner. The winner is the winner is, how do you find your one true love? That is the winner.
You know the answer to that, let me know.
Yeah.
What makes
it's the next Zoom call that we're doing. What's the winner? What's the winner of the poll?
The big question, what makes great design?
Oh no.
I don't know. It's mean to ask. I don't know. I know.
I don't know, but one thing that I know is that when you see great design, it's great design. And that's all. I'm really sorry. I don't have the magic bullet for that.
That right there is a fantastic answer. And on that note, everyone, thank you for joining us. Thomas, thank you for being with us, of course, and thanks to you all. Everyone have a great day. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much. Ciao, ciao.